What's going on, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. All right, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin again. Little update from the last video. Also going to talk about this Moneymaker indicator. You know, we show you guys this all the time. We're currently running a special on it, but we've also just added the ability to add an alert on this. So I'm gonna talk about how that's going to really make this a lot more powerful, because you'll be able to multitask, do other things, and when these fire off, you can hop back onto that particular chart and take action. So we're going to get into that as well. But we're going to take a look at, now that we've crept up a little closer to those resistance levels we talked about in the last video, we're going to take a look at the dominance, show you guys what's going on with that, crypto fear and greed. Going to take a look at our fib multiplier and also talk a little bit about our weekly RSI and daily RSI readings. And I wanted to show you guys a little bit on the long and short positioning on this as well. So, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about too is the moving averages that I like to use. I have a slow one and a fast one, and looking at those at both the daily and the weekly, and I'll talk a little bit about that as to price interaction with those as well, so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect as we march forward here. All right, guys, let's dive into this video.
Trade Genius.
Okay, guys, so, with Bitcoin rising as it has been, we start getting away from these moving averages. So I wanted to dive into the moving average first. So I use weighted moving averages. I have a weighted moving average of 20. That kind of tells me when we have a high momentum move. And generally what will happen is, on a good trend, you'll float on top of that, touch it. Then you'll get a breakthrough and you'll head toward this lower moving average, which may or may not get hit. But usually that tells you there's a pause in the action for a breather, and then that will recharge the next cycle up. And then a lot of times what will happen is you'll get like 3 different moves. So we actually saw one instance of that already. Usually when you see now a second time where this thing hits, probabilities increase that you will break this and tag the lower moving average. So it's good to keep an eye on where these moving averages are. Price always comes back and hits these. Okay, so it's very important to see or keep tabs on where these are. Some people might use EMAs or simple moving averages. Generally speaking, they all kind of will congregate within reason on the same levels, as long as you have a faster moving one and a slower moving one. I just like the weighted ones because they seem to react pretty well to the crypto space. So on the daily, obviously, this one's coming in at, the faster moving average is coming in at 96.74. And I would expect that that's going to get tagged, but ultimately I think the slower one is going to be the preferred level. But again, this could come up some. This could come up into the 9,000s before it gets hit. Now we are coming into this zone here, 11,600 to 800, critical failure area on this bear market, which was the nail in the coffin for the bulls, and then this whole area here failed. So expect to see some resistance up in here. If we just were to move through this level like we did on these previous weekly tops, I'd be really, really surprised. I really would be. I think this is going to create some sort of resistance. I would not be surprised if we see a move similar to what we see in here, and we see some consolidation in this range. If that happens, though, I will get bullish again, and then we can start looking at some other levels. The very next level would be around this 13,000 area, where you see price kind of came up, bounced off of it, then price moved down and then retested it right at 13K. So we could actually put, if we copy this and add one there, put one right there, a nice little support and resistance zone there. This one, not as powerful. If this does create a short squeeze, we could see like a really quick move up to that level and then a fall, and that could be like a local top, and then we see a prolonged either pullback or consolidation. But I think the Litecoin halving event in August, I think really we should see a general top in things prior to that. So what I'm looking at is something like mid-July. But this is now the 2 key levels that we have in play. If we roll over, then we'll start looking at some downside supports like those moving averages and other support resistance levels. Guys, looking at the dominance chart, we are running into an area that historically has been an area of resistance. We are creating a bit of a double top at the moment on the dominance chart. And as you can see back here, this was a major low on the dominance back middle of 2017. And then dominance has reacted off of this level in the past, either hitting its head or breaking above it and then retesting from below, or breaking above, retesting from above, etc. So it'll be interesting to see. We're right at that point now where we've broken above it, and to see if we can, there's one other level here we can put on this chart right about there. So we're right in that zone for dominance. Breaking above that, we'll probably see another surge down in alts, but alt season's getting ready, guys. You're going to see a large surge in alts, and they usually lag behind a big Bitcoin move like that, like we're seeing right now. All right, guys, crypto fear and greed. We have a all-time high reading of 87. Again, the bull market, like we said, we're kind of going to now ignore these high marks, because now with the bull market, we're going to see even higher marks. So we're going to see where we ultimately see tops at relative to the fear and greed index. And really, I think still until we see like a decent move down on the index, I think that would signal an entry. You really don't want to be trying to guess that what the top's going to be here, but we could see what could turn out to be anything over 90 is going to be prime for shorting the market. But the wise thing here is to let this play out and give us a new milestone as far as tops for the crypto fear and greed index. Okay, here's the fib multiplier chart. We talked about this in the last video. And again, we are tagging that fib level, which is, this is the fib 2 level, okay? And in market cycles, this has historically proven to be cyclical tops. If this blows through convincingly, then you can start looking at these highs here. And we're talking like up in the 17,000s. But you notice on the BLX index, though, we really haven't closed above it, even though on, let's say, Coinbase, we have had some prints north of this 11,275 mark. But the BLX is an index, blended index, right, of different exchanges. So we'll see what tomorrow's or today's candle, these candles don't print until the day's over. So we won't see today's candle yet, but it'll be interesting to see where we close at. See if we do close above that 11,275. But again, guys, we could overthrow, press up into this resistance area just under 12,000 and make a wick. Again, this is the daily chart, but on the weekly, we could make a wick and then pull back from those levels and put in a top there. So this is an interesting area to see, I think, a potential candidate for a cycle top in this area. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the RSI. So on the daily RSI, we're at 79. And really, like where we've seen like tops, where basically, as far as when you look on the chart, there's a definite reaction. So we did top out here at around 82.39, and then we saw a quick dip. And again, we were topping out toward this sub 90 level, so 86 and above. We're not quite there yet on the daily. Same thing here. We actually banged it a couple times, and then we saw a little bit of a pullback. So we're not quite at those levels yet, but we're getting closer. Up here, we had a top around 76, but that was in a bear market. So bull markets are going to give you higher readings at tops. But we're getting close here. Get another reading up in this 87, 86, 87 or higher. And again, that's going to be, we'll see what tomorrow's reading is, but that's going to be close. So just watch the RSI 14 on the BLX chart for tomorrow. As far as the weekly goes, we're not at levels that historically have been putting in tops. Now, these tops are a lot easier to see. Again, if we look at these two very high peaks, right, where we were at a reading of 90 here and a reading of 90 here. So you see 90 on the weekly, your probabilities are pretty high that is going to put in a top, a local top, even in a bull market. So let's keep an eye on that as well. Okay, switching over to this chart. Now, I've showed you guys this chart where we show the funding rates over here. Funding rate has dropped down. It was, when the funding rate gets high like this over 0.2, that's where you're going to probably see tops being put in. Now, this is a 30-minute chart, okay, so we're talking real small time frames, but as we start pressing into these areas of resistance, you kind of want to drill down into these smaller time frames to see what's going on. If you look at, for example, here where we went up, when we're in these areas kind of in between major support and resistance levels, you can kind of take a look at what the shorts and the longs are doing. So green is the long positions and red is the short positions at Bitfinex. And you notice when the longs rose up here, what happens is that adds this. Think of this as fuel, right? So if stops start getting hit for the longs, then you have all these longs that need to unwind. But you notice when the longs are dipped, right, for long positions, what happens is that now you got room to grow to the upside. And notice too, like when this was coming out of a dip and then the shorts were increasing, got a bit of a short squeeze there. Longs come up and elevate like we have here. Again, this is why I'm saying watch out, because we're kind of in a similar situation. We've come up, longs have grown, so any kind of pullback here could trigger a similar move like this. The shorts though, are climbing as well, so it's a bit of a trade-off there. And again, it really becomes a matter of which side this starts to press first. One thing I will say, if you see a drop off in shorts like this when it comes down, it's kind of counterintuitive, but you will see a high probability of the time you will see a subsequent move down. Kind of counterintuitive because you'd think that the shorts would do this as this is coming down, but a lot of times you'll see that prior to that move. Okay, so just something to keep an eye on. If you do see these drop off relatively quickly, you might see that happen. Okay, guys, so now what I want to do is I want to talk about the Moneymaker. And even in an alt bear market, you can still find decent setups and grind out Bitcoin profits. So, increasing your Bitcoin stack now that we're getting into this new bull cycle, I mean, that's really what you want to be doing. And altcoin trading, even in this bear market, even though you might not have access to being able to short coin, certain pairs like you can on some of the margin exchanges, you can still get these swing longs even in an ugly market like this. So I'm going to talk about this Moneymaker. We've upgraded it so you can set alerts. So I'll link the video that goes into this setup a little bit more at the end of this video. But real quickly, what you can do is you just simply go to Binance, right? And then you just look at, like, this is going to sort the volume high to low and just look at what's green in the sea of red. Sometimes all these will be green and you want to just take a look. But for example, we've got VET and Link, so we could go look at those. So this is basically all we're going to do is type in VET BTC on a 15-minute chart, because that's how we like to do these setups. It'll work on different time frames, but essentially what we're going to do is, like, for VET, okay, so this came off the partnership with Walmart news. This is why this thing popped. Right now it's dropping, but we're not really going to be interested until we see a Moneymaker fire in the lower part of the channel. So what we've done is we've added the ability, you right click on that and you can, right there it says buy alert. Now you have the option or the ability to have a buy alert. So you could just set that, and the next time it fires, you'll get an alert. Now, depending on your level of subscription on TradingView, you'll have different options here, but you can be notified on the mobile app. You can show a pop-up. You can send yourself an email. You can play a sound, and it'll say, yeah. And then down here, you can change the wording. It defaults to you have a Moneymaker buy alert. You could say VET on this particular one. But anyway, that allows you to set, you'll have that indicator set, and then when you can go back to Binance, take a look at, okay, Link. Let's look at Link, right? Go back to the chart. Now we'll set one up for Link BTC, and we'll do the same thing. As you can see here, a couple nice entries on Link so far. But again, add alert, and then now you can go do something else, and you'll get an alert. If you get the right package, your phone will get notified. You can even get a text message that that's fired. Come back, set your entry, set your stops. Stops on these are really small because of the 15-minute time frame. And again, you're just trying to look for things that are going to give you a few percentage points. But we dive into this setup more in the video that I'll link to at the end here. This is very profitable. And again, it doesn't matter. In a bear market, there's always a little bull here and there. And doing this little technique will help you find that. And other exchanges too, if at some point you can't access Binance, all the exchanges will show top gainers in volume and things like that. So again, just go on to those particular coins, slap them in the 15-minute chart, and enter those setups. Very simple, very easy way to grind out those Satoshis by trading up in Bitcoin terms on these alts. Again, guys, if you're interested in that, you can head over to tradelikeagenius.com. The promo code Father's Day is 40% off. So you go into software and the Moneymaker, you can get it there. They will not be offering 40% off into the summer. So it would be a good time to get it before the end of the month expires. Okay, guys, well, that's it for this video. I hope that helps. Please hit like and subscribe. It really helps out our channel. And I will see you on the next video, guys. Take care. Bye.
Trade Genius.